Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to RLCS Overtime, your one-stop shop for all things Rocket League, eSports, RLCS, casters, beards. There's so many things we do on this show. It's fantastic. I got a finable carpet, a Lawler, and a Quinn Lobdell with me. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, pretty good.
Good?
Good.
Good. We've got 4 goods, folks. You're going to the next episode. Wait, wrong show. Sorry. Okay, so talking here about Rocket League, we've had so much crazy stuff happen. League play has ended. We've had the playoffs happen. We'll talk about North America here. Look at our bracket and how things went down this past weekend. You can see that the teams that win coming out in the end there, Cloud9 4-1 over Ghosts. And the most important part of this is those semifinals there, the Cloud9, NRG, Ghosts, and G2 Esports, the 4 teams representing North America at LAN.
I think we all got a little caught off guard. Ghosts being able to take down pretty much everyone in their path aside from the very end, Cloud9. I think we all knew they were good, but they definitely really showcased what they could pull off.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, okay, it was in convincing fashion as well. Like, we have a defined 4 that were all, I guess, supposed to be there, even though you don't want to say that anybody like belongs there for like a defined thing, but they proved their worth by far in those games. Yeah,
it was sad because Gibbs was like just right all weekend about basically everything. Got like all the predictions right. He was predicting Cloud9 to win, and they certainly did. I have my money on NRG because they've done it 3 times in the past, and I wanted to see them do it again, and maybe I'm a bit of a fanboy, who knows. But they come out, they get the 4-0 over Rogue, and then only are able to take 2 games against Cloud9. Cloud9 comes out getting the victory the whole way. That part I think no one was really terribly surprised by. I mean, I definitely think going into this one was probably one of the more obvious. Like, there are 3 people that could have taken it. You know, sadly, it was one not G2's best performances we've seen, which is kind of the theme. I heard like some I was reading some conversations where like, when are we gonna stop talking about which G2's gonna show up? And then like G2 didn't show up. It's like, I don't know. Whenever they start showing up, we're gonna stop talking about it. And you know, it's just as frustrating for us as it is. Like we want to believe, we want to understand that these teams are consistent, and so often it's really just up to the day. Yeah. So you know, talking about the qualified teams here. We've got 4 from North America, and the 2 that had to play today, we already knew that Cloud9 and G2 were making it in, but NRG was the other team, the first team that qualified, and then we had Ghost come in there in the lower as well. So NRG and Ghost, how do you guys feel about these being our 4 teams for LAN?
I think that's pretty clear cut. These teams are all just a level above the rest of the teams that we've been seeing in league play, especially you see both Rogue and FlyQuest lost 4-0 in their series, so I think it makes sense that we have these 4 teams as our final 4.
How do you guys feel about Ghost in particular, seeing as I think everyone was expecting, most people were expecting them to beat FlyQuest, but then to see them go all the way to the finals to play against Cloud9, talk to me about Ghosts.
I mean, for me, I look at that roster and I'm still surprised by it. Like, I don't see how those pieces fit together, but a lot of it just has to do with the leadership from Leftimir. He is the true captain of that team. He leads them, and we saw what happens when he's not there. In the one series they drop pretty heavily, but then other teammates are stepping up. I mean, you saw Classics in the time that he was having those internet issues when all of Toronto was out, basically get them to that last game just in time for him to come back, and then he also carries it through. But he showed his worth in only that one game and led everybody's fantasy for that week too, because he had one game to play off of. But like, it makes no sense because I don't see all those players as like, okay, these are your really heavy carry players, but they still win games every single time. It's an interesting dynamic that happens with them.
Go ahead, Quinn.
I was going to say, with Classics, he's so difficult to predict just because he's so aggressive that if he's having like an off day.
Carp calls him like a bruiser.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, he just goes completely missing, but like that's not what happened, as you said. Right? We saw a great Classics, and hopefully he brings that to the LAN.
It was funny to me because it was like league play was over, fantasy was over for North American EU, and it felt like these guys were still trying to pad their stats with just like how aggressive they were playing. It was a really fantastic series of events. If you didn't get to watch this weekend, please go back and watch it. It was really cool here. But talking about moving forward, you know, Cloud9, the victors, the first time since we've switched to this format that we have not seen NRG / former Kings of Urban be the North American champs, and we have Cloud9 now as the champ. So talking about who's hot moving forward into LAN. Can we just all say this at the same time on 3? You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. NRG. Oh wait, I thought we didn't agree. I thought we were going to all agree on that.
Bamboozled us.
How dare you? Okay. So here's my thing. We're going to talk about Cloud9 a whole bunch. I just want to say, while NRG they dropped They only won 2 games against Cloud9. The 2 games that they won, they outscored them 9-1. They only allowed 1 goal in those 2 games. So they had some really fantastic games, kept them close, and then went and just destroyed G2 in the 3rd place match. So while absolutely Cloud9 is definitely the favorite right now, I think if there's any other team you can look at in North America, NRG is feeling pretty good.
I think that's pretty fair. Just in general, their record together, how they've been performing, just their longevity as a team. You know, Fireburner and Jacob have been playing together for so long, and they've got such a rapport, and the things that they've accomplished together is pretty amazing. And as much as I really enjoy just seeing how NRG has performed, I think they're showing more inconsistency than they have in the past, which is what makes me uncomfortable and makes it hard for me to say, yes, NRG are the team to go for. Because we just finally saw them perform the best they ever had at LAN, and then they had probably one of the rockiest seasons we've seen them have. Usually they're they're the target, right? It's just like, we got to beat NRG, we have to do it. And this season, they were still up there. Obviously, they still performed. They put themselves in 3rd place. But, you know, seeing that rockiness out of them, it's just a little weird for me.
For sure.
That's been the story for, like, the entire season, though, is teams just aren't performing at their best. I mean, you look at Cloud9, we expect Squishy, we expect Gimmick, we expect all these players to play extremely well, but they've also been shaky. And despite that, someone on their team still steps up and makes a convincing win for them. Where, okay, Squishy, he's been playing out of his mind for so long, he's making a ton of plays happen here and there, and then you see Gimmick kind of slide back a little bit because he's able to make some of these high mechanic plays. But then they transition that as well. You know, there's another player that where not everybody is playing at their peak performance, but they have enough on their team talent-wise where they're able to step up and still get those wins, despite that shakiness that we're seeing throughout.
Yeah, let's talk about Cloud9 in particular here and what they are bringing to the table moving into the World Championship Series. They only dropped 3 games this weekend, not even enough to lose a series at any point. Across all of their series, they only dropped 3 games. They lost 2 to NRG and 1 to Ghosts in the finals, taking that final in 5 games flat. These guys quite on fire, and it was Squishy, who we highlighted as the player of the day. He had quite the breakout performance.
I mean, there really is. As far as mechanical skill right now, not only is he able to showcase it, but it almost feels like his team is playing, like making that part of their play style. Is understanding what Squishy can do. It's like, hey, you know, it's in a weird spot. I'm pretty sure Squishy's going to be able to carry this over 2 people, and they start to prepare for that, which I think generally what we'd seen in the past are the people that were super affluent as far as mechanical skills. They would just like do the solo plays and do something nasty, and like their players would not. You don't really want to play around that. But Cloud9 seems to be one of the first teams that's like just feeding into it. Like, we know how good Squishy is, so let's just play around his skill. It's really cool to watch.
And it's just, when you think about, that's what we're talking about, just Squishy, and we haven't even started talking about Gimmick yet. And then when you've got those 2 players, who's rounding out the roster? You got Torment here. Like, the 3 players, we talked about it all of you on Saturday, that like every one of these players can make the dynamite plays if they need to, but they also synergize so well as a team. This team is absolutely dynamite moving into the World Championships right now.
Yeah, I think one of the scariest things about this team is, like Carpet, you said it so well. We look at Cloud9, they do such a good job at just kind of putting the ball in awkward situations for the other team and just saying, hey, let's, like, Torment specifically lets Squishy and Gimmick just have the freedom to do whatever they want on the offensive side of the field. And they put that ball in awkward positions and say, hey, let's see what you can make happen here, what can be difficult for the other teams to deal with. And we see what happens as a result. The consistency in the mechanics time and time again leads them on top.
Yeah, and talking about Cloud9, #1 seed from North America, looking at the World Championship bracket. I'm going to take a preview. The first time we're actually going to show it to you here. This is what the bracket is going to look like for Worlds in Washington, D.C. Holy cow, it's huge. Let's look at it in there. There we go. Look at this. Just the part of here that is actually filled out right now. You can see Cloud9 right now waiting for the victory between the #2 seed from OCE and PSG eSports. I want to talk about a stacked bracket, guys. Like, I feel like every year at LAN, we can look at this bracket and we can say like, oh, this is a match like the first round will probably easily go one way or the other. But you look at all these teams: Method versus NRG, Ghosts versus Mach at eSports. Those are the 2 we have already made here. All of these matches, all of these teams are so good. Like, what stands out to you guys right now?
I mean, the fact for me is that 3rd, 4th place match that we got to see previous weekend allows whoever won that to get that extra bye. They don't have that, I guess, warm-up match or that match that's like, okay, this is it. Like, here we go. And that's huge. I mean, the ability to, for some, they think of that. And it's bad because OC is not respected, I think, by a lot of these pros just yet. Like, there's a lot of teams that are just like, this is going to be an easy cakewalk. But I've been watching their scene, and they are, like, ever since Alpha City came back and now they're Chief, like, their play has amped up quite a bit. Like, it's not going to be a cakewalk like everybody expects.
Well, no.
I was going to say, I mean, everybody kind of called them out, and we saw what happened. They were able to win a series. right? They did do well. And all the other players lauded them. They gave them so much credit, saying this is a good team. They know how to play good Rocket League.
A big thing talking to Yummy, especially during that last LAN, that was just a huge improvement for them because they just got to learn. They were playing against all these high caliber teams, and they brought all that back to Australia. All that experience they had, all the things that they saw that were weakness, they had replays to watch. They got to see where they were beat, and now they just spent all season working kind of in their isolated area over in OCE. We haven't been able to play against them. There's such a big ping difference we don't get to. So I mean, and they're going against G2, who we've all been waiting to see like for 2 seasons. So I think the opening match is going to be amazing.
It's going to be crazy. We've got like a whole month before the LAN happens, and we will go fully into those matches and talk more about them as we move forward here on Overtime. But right now, done talking about North America. We're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, going to hop the pond, do it all again over in Europe, talk about their regional championships. See you there in a second. Welcome back to RLCS Overtime. Got done talking about North America. Now we're going to talk about Europe. It was kind of a crazy weekend, very long weekend.
Yep.
You know, have you figured out what grits are yet?
No.
No, he still doesn't know it.
No, I just know there's sausage that with it.
He knows there's sausage with it. It's shrimps and grits. We discovered today that shrimp has no idea what grits are.
Like I said, it just sounds like shrimp, but you haven't cleaned it properly and it's got sand.
Honestly, that's not a bad.
Close enough. Yeah.
It's pretty close there. Let's look at the bracket and how things shaped up for the European regional playoffs here, guys. It was a crazy one. Had a lot of the things went sort of as expected, but then not. Gale Force, who had a pretty rough start to league play, really showing up in a big way here at the end and going all the way your European regional champions.
And I could not be happier for it. Gale Force, start off the season, we sat there, all just saying, look, Gale Force is the best team in the world right now. And then they got beat by both PSG and Method. And then there was going to be questions coming up, as there is always questions coming up. But they avenged both of those losses. They became the world or the European champions. That'll be in the future coming up. But as well, we have got ourselves Gale Force and Mocket representing Europe. They are joining Method and PSG.
I hear that. Is that a prediction? A prediction from you at this point?
I told you all. I don't make predictions. I give you spoilers.
Oh, that's a clever.
Is that? Do you want to tell us that other spoiler that you feel so strongly about?
Do you want to remind me?
About 4 teams and them winning. Do you want to make that call right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll call it right now. Europe is going to go 4-0 against OC or NA in the opening round.
Wow, that's cool. I wanted you to confirm that later because we're going to we'll pull up the World Championship bracket, but we'll save that for now. Right now, I just want to talk about the 4 teams from Europe who did make it here. We're talking about Method, PSG, Mocket, and Gale Force. Now, Method and PSG we knew about last week, but this week, Gale Force and Mocket going to be pulling out the wins there in that first round to qualify in. They'll be our 4 teams representing us here at LAN.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely incredible. The LAN's just stacked on top of stacked on top of stacked, but we have got our big teams coming around. And those qualification games, those were tough. There was definitely a landmine team there in the form of Flipside, and Excel we knew could come out from absolutely anywhere. Niels Cook, he was getting fed shots, but just not quite enough of them. So teams are definitely playing their styles. It seems like everyone's started to settle into their groove, and Mocket as well. They are, as you guys said, they are starting to wind it up a little bit now when it's actually really crucial to them.
It was funny because we interviewed Niels Cook, and they had their match against Mocket. Excel had the match against Mocket in the very end of league play, and they barely won it out, and he was like, Pashy was just having a breakout performance. That's why Mocket was able to beat us. He won't possibly do it again, but he just kept going. Like, Pashy is playing better right now than I feel like he's ever played before. Mocket makes it to LAN again.
I mean, it's the situation of what Mocket does. They have a new roster. They somehow get second at every World Championship, so why is this season any different?
Yeah, I don't know how they always seem to like pull things together right when it comes towards LAN, and they always have an incredible LAN run. So things are going just as you'd expect.
Like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little weird, the whole situation with Mocket.
I'm pretty sure, I'm just thinking through it in my head here real fast, Mocket maybe is the only organization to be at every single LAN.
Well,
the only
now with the loss of Flipside.
Yeah,
Yep,
it was Flipside up until this year. So Mocket now the only team to be there every single time. Different rosters all the time, but still, the organization always able to get there. And we want to talk about like who's hot moving into the LAN right now. Obviously, Gale Force is a big one here, but we're just going to go down the line. This was a little bit less straightforward than NA, though apparently NA wasn't actually straight. I thought
you ruined it.
All NRG train here. Yeah, okay, Shogun, who you got?
Gale Force, obviously European champions, avenging their 2 losses, looking good doing it. It's impossible for me to go against them.
I've got Mocket.
For me, it's actually Method.
Wait, Method? What? I have Gale Force, but I mean, they knocked out Flipside, the team that's always made it to LAN every time. It's like, how could you not say that they're hot right now?
I think right now, Gale Force is maybe the easy answer. Obviously, they're the European champs, and I want to talk about Mocket here for a second. These guys, they didn't lose by more than 1 point to Method, and they reverse swept PSG. The performance from these guys was crazy. Like, it was the only series we saw all weekend that made the full use of the best-of-7 format and actually had it matter here, where you saw PSG get out to they won the first 3 games, and then Mocket comes all the way back to the M team here in the league. It was incredible to watch these guys play, though.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, for me, okay, you look at this match, right? Guess who was playing against them in that final match of the day? It was Method. Method is also the team that knocked down Mocket. So, yes, Gale Force is the one that we all predetermined is like, okay, these guys are the best in the world right now, and they're showing us that towards the end of the season. But Method is a team that, for a lot of people that forgot, they were the 3rd seed last season as Team Secrecy and didn't have the best season. Now they're starting to really settle in, as you know, Shogun said, they're getting in their groove, they're still playing, and they're still competing and bringing this top-tier team of Gale Force all the way to 7 games. So there's still one that you can't count out. Not that you can count on anybody in Europe because everybody's so stinking good.
Yeah,
so
no, Gale Force, I mean, we were watching K-Dot play there while we were talking. The guy, we gave him Player of the Week. They had an absolutely monster performance. This guy was in the World Finals last year. He was the MVP of Europe last year, and here he was the Player of the Week for the regional championships. K-Dop has been on fire for 2 seasons straight now.
Yeah, K-Dop's now going to start having that problem of we just expect these performances out of him because he is a consistent. And on a Gale Force team that is always as consistent as they are, it's kind of hard to stand out. But this weekend, he certainly did. A main component on Gale Force and their victories. And if you can keep this going heading into the LAN, they're going to be very solid. They're getting more experience as well under their belts, so consistency will be there.
That save. Oh, God, that save. That save was a goal to make it 1-2, but instead they transitioned it downfield, make it 3-0. Like, just barely any difference.
Some beautiful play. I mean, we'll get to. We're going to interview Turbopolsa after this, so we'll get to hear a bit from Gale Force on their perspective on what's going on and how they're feeling right now.
Is he wearing shorts? Do we have bets? Is he gonna?
I don't know.
Shorts?
I don't know. You know,
I bet she wears shorts in the comfort of his own home.
I just
He's quite
don't-
naked, actually.
Oh,
That's a bad image.
We'll see if he's wearing anything cool, but I'm not going to ask him about like what pants he's got on. That's just it's just a little weird. He'd have to like stand up and like I don't know.
A little
you know?
weird.
It's just a little bit on the strange side, but I can't get over Mockett. We called it because we had a little bit of misinformation. We were saying it was the first time we'd ever had a reverse sweep in a best of 7. Wasn't actually true. This was the second time. The first time it happened way back in season 1, and it was actually Mockett who got reverse swept at the time. So here they come back, get some revenge.
Quit.
And
Do you know
oh
about,
my gosh.
do you know
Yeah,
about
I
reverse
know-
sweeps against Pocket?
I might know something about that. I think I can remember.
Well, that was
you
a
know?
best of 5. That was,
Oh, yeah.
that's
I mean,
a
it was
different game.
Close enough.
Yes, that was the second time that Quinn did have the second reverse sweep against Mockett in that season.
Yeah, but this game and multiple games that we saw from Mockett this weekend kind of show off the my love-hate relationship with them right now. They've got 2 styles of play. When they're in defense, I hate to say it, they are boring to watch, and I don't think they entirely know what they are doing. They invite too much offense to come towards them. That isn't going to make the mistakes they need. But when they transition that over to offense and they allow themselves to control the midfield and pressure their opponents, Fairy Peak is a master at setups. They need to be moving there over more into offense more if they want to have a chance at the World Championships.
Well, they've got a month to prepare here to really think through everything, and we've heard, Pashy was tweeting out that like this is the best he's ever felt with a team. The synergy between these guys, between Fairy Peak, Freaky, and Pashy, this team is really fit well together. I mean, Pashy's always been a player that builds good teams around him, and he feels best about this team, about any team, and he's been to the World Finals before. He's been in that championship game, losing to Flipside in season 2. So like, he wants to finally pull it out and get the win this time.
I mean, confident Pashy is a scary one. No one can argue that.
I think the big question here again for Mockett is, can they all pull it together at LAN and bring that performance? I mean, even last year they got to the grand finals, right? It wasn't Pashy, but it was a Mockett team, and you just notice that specifically with Mockett consistently, the team never really starts to come together from the day one, from their first series.
Sure.
They always kind of start off slowly and
back
then,
end of
and
the
then
season.
just at the end, just kind of come through and make a performance.
And we'll see if they can make it to that grand final match again for a 3rd season in a row. They've been there twice, but they've been bracket reset twice too. So you know that Mockett organization is hungry for that victory right now. Let's talk about OCE for a little bit, though. We've given out some awards, some player accolades for North America and for Europe. Their season just ended, so we can give out the awards that we have there for OCE right now. The Golden Striker, Torsos, a player we saw at LAN. They were performing in season 3. I'm sure we'll see them there again. I just can't imagine that they won't make it through in their playoffs here. But Torsos, going to be our Golden Striker there from OCE. And the Savior of the Season, another award, Walcott there from Conspiracy, 2.26 saves per game, putting up monster numbers there. Noisy and Hectic rounded out the top 3. And the MVP for the OCE region, saw his name already once, 5-2 his team went. Torsos from Chiefs ESC, still one of the dynamite rosters here in
I'm actually really excited to see Shady in that top 3. He was the player that replaced Bango, I'm pretty sure, so he's like the newcomer to the team, and for him to show up as like a possible MVP pick, that's huge.
Yeah, no, they still have their playoffs to go through, so we'll get to see kind of who their top 2 teams are in a bit, but they will fill out the remainder of our World Championship bracket. We can take a look at it. We saw it earlier when we were talking about North America. Let's see it again. I want to get Shogun's thoughts in particular here. You were proclaiming that E will not lose a round in the matches we have outlined here right now. You feel confident about that?
I mean, I'll say confidently out right now. As I get closer and closer, it'll definitely be interesting to see how nervous I do get, because there are certainly games there that do make me nervous. PSG, we've seen the steam starting to go out from their train right now, and they've got Cloud9 to take on. I feel like that one is going to be very difficult for them. The other one actually is going to be Method versus NRG. That's going to be a very interesting styles clash that we've got there, because we've got a team that loves to be absolutely everywhere, and we saw a lot plant himself in the midfield against a team that really has sort of just held to the 2-1 rotational style for the longest time. So it's going to be utter chaos against a little bit more of a organized team, apart from Jacob, who just does whatever, really.
Sure, I mean, it's always difficult to strategize when you're going up against a team that has wild card players like Jacob on it here, but everything's looking good. Everything is shaping up fantastically for the World Championship. It's about a month away. Be sure to be checking out and getting your tickets to be there, and we want to see you at Washington, D.C. at the National Harbor MGM. It's going to be awesome stuff. Can't wait for that to happen. But guys, teased about it earlier. Let's talk about it. We're going to have it happen here after the break. Going to interview TurboPolsa, get his thoughts on the regional championships and on the world championships. Stick around. It's going to be right here on Overtime. Welcome back to Overtime, ladies and gentlemen. We finished league play. We've now finished the playoffs as well, and we've got one of our regional champions from Europe on the phone with us from Gale Force eSports. It's TurboPolsa. Turbo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you.
Doing good. What's this thing you've got around your neck right now? I want to see this.
Something I bought from eBay.
Oh, got it from eBay, you know, and they gave it to you picked up your order on the stage last season at LAN, I'm pretty sure. That's pretty crazy, dude. How did you get into Rocket League for people who are tuning in, hearing about you for the first time?
I think I saw Rocket League on the trending page on Steam store, and just told my friends that we should try to play this game, and I just kept playing, and they stopped, and now I'm here.
I feel like that's like a recurring story with most of the people I ask about how they got into Rocket League. They're like, oh, me and my friends got into it, and then they all stopped, and now I'm a professional. Is this your first time in an esport? Like, what's your background in esports prior to Rocket League?
I've been watching a lot of CS:GO, but first time actually like trying to compete at a high level.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So first time as a pro, but a longtime fan of esports in general. This brings us up to this weekend here. This is an interesting story to me. When new cars come out, usually there's a few pros who are like, oh, this car is going to be like my new main, I'm going to love it. And then like they play with it in their first game in RLCS, they lose that first game, and then they go back to like the Octane or whatever their normal main was before that. This past weekend, not only did you lose your first game while playing the Skyline, but you stayed on the Skyline after that, and then just continued to win everything, winning the entire tournament there. And you tweeted afterwards saying, if Skyline had come out 6 weeks ago, we would have been 7-0. And I've got to ask, like, what's the deal with the Skyline? Like, what makes it special for you?
The car just looks perfect for me. The hitbox is amazing, and I have hit shots like I never did before with this car.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous the stuff you were able to do this past weekend. And it's interesting to me that you have the 20XX, the black market, on the blue side, and have like the completely blank car on the orange side. Is there a meta to your color scheme here?
Actually, I changed the color, but while I was changing colors, they joined the game, so I didn't have time to fix it. Unfortunately. That's
funny. So then you have the chocolate bar car there. How does it feel? I just got to ask, like, how does it feel to be the European regional champion?
It feels really, really good. When we lost to both PSG and Method in league play, people were doubting us, telling us, yeah, our honeymoon phase was over or whatever. But we proved everyone wrong, and now we're the EU champions.
Yeah, for sure. Coming back and roaring back to success here at the end of the season. You guys had like a very roller coaster of a season here. What's the vibe like right now on Gale Force, ending the season on a high?
We're feeling really, really good. We have we're on top of the world right now. We feel we can beat everyone that comes in our way, and that's how it should be.
I mean, you heard like even Gibbs had your back the entire way through. He was absolutely certain you guys were going to do it, and you guys backed it up there, and it makes sense that you guys would be on top of the world. And I want to back up a little bit before last year and just talk to you about a question that I think is on a lot of people's minds. With Northern Gaming, then Envious, you earned that medal you're wearing there last season. You guys played absolutely amazing, but immediately afterwards, you very shortly left off and went off to Gale Force. And what was it that made you think you'd have a better chance of repeating your success with Gale Force instead of sticking with Envious?
I wasn't really in the roster of Envy or NG at that time. So I was still a free agent. I was just a sub for that tournament. And then Gale Force really quickly talked to me and told me that they wanted me to play in DreamHack Summer. And after the tournament, I just felt really, really good with them, and they wanted me in, so I just took the offer.
For sure, yeah, and you clearly made the right choice at this point. Envy had kind of a nightmare of a season. They're not going to be at LAN. You get to go back to LAN. You're actually the only reigning world champ returning to LAN right now. And how does that change your mindset? What does that do for your mindset heading into this tournament, a tournament that everybody wants to win, but you've already won, and now you're going to try and do it again? What's that like?
Not sure, really. The feeling of being a world champ and then coming back is obviously. It feels really good. Like, I know what it takes to actually win a world championship, and so does Kronovi, who won season 1. So I don't know, really. we just know what it takes. Since everyone has been in the grand finals as well.
Yeah.
Not really, and I'm the one, winning everything. But it should be good.
Yeah, that has been the big thing about Gale Force is the fact that all these players in different seasons or in different times have been in that final game. They've been really close. You're the one who's actually pulled it off. So we'll get to see if you guys can do it again here. Talking about EU and other teams in EU here, specifically PSG. Back in week 1, you tweeted, "I'm saying it now, Frontline is getting top 2." And Frontline, now known as PSG, did make top 2 by the end of league play, but then struggled pretty hard in the playoffs. And what are your thoughts about PSG right now heading into the World Championships?
PSG is a very difficult team to predict or talk about. They are, if they win, they are on form. They are a really, really good team. But if they start tilting, they could lose to anyone. It's really, really hard to play against them. And Bluey, when he's having his day, he's so annoying to play against.
Yeah, that's the team. I mean, you tweeted this, I think it was right after PSG actually beat you guys back in week 1, and then that was kind of the beginning of you guys having kind of a downward turn, but you've ramped it back up here, and PSG is going to have to kind of figure some new pieces out as they move forward because they had a very lackluster performance in the playoffs here. But now, broadening things out to just North America. North America has struggled at LAN the past few seasons here. What is, from your perspective, what is North America bringing to the table here at LAN this year?
In my eyes, North America playstyle is very scrimmy. They go for every ball, don't really think about what they're doing, except NRG, I think, and Cloud9. They are really fast players who actually know what they're doing.
So a very scrappy style of play with NRG and Cloud9. Are those the big threats in your mind from North America?
Yeah. It really is. G2 and Ghost, they're obviously a good team who made this far, but I feel like they are not going to reach far into RLCS Grand Finals.
All right, well, the predictions of Cloud9 and NRG. This is talking worldwide. From your perspective, who would you consider to be the biggest threat right now?
Probably Cloud9, I think. They're so strong. They've shown in league play that they are the best team in North America, possibly the world. Also NRG, they're coming close second. We lost to them at other lands, but if we just play our game, then we should be fine, to be honest.
For sure. So you feel like North America's got the bigger threats right now than the other teams in Europe?
Yeah, I do feel like that. NA has come to a different level. They're catching up to EU really fast. And just as the top 2 EU teams, PSG and Method, or top 3 now, just don't have the LAN experience. Of course, they're playing smaller LANs, but playing in front of thousands of people is so much different than playing in front of 50 people, for example.
Yeah, that's a really good point there. And both Cloud9 and NRG have some experience in different LAN formats, with Cloud9, formerly the Muffin Men, winning at DreamHack at LAN. And so these guys have some experience to bring. It's been great to talk to you, Turbo, here. Just before I let you go, you got any shout-outs?
I want to give shout-outs to the org, Gale Force, and of course the TeamSpeak, Remco, Envy, NRG, every one of them. Just having a great time with them.
Awesome stuff there. Thank you so much, Turbo, for talking to us. Good luck in the World Championships.
Thanks.
Awesome. That is TurboPolsa from Gale Force Esports, guys. Always great to talk to the players, and I'm excited to see them perform at the World Championships in Washington, D.C. When we come back to overtime, Yummy Cheeseman and his boys are going to be breaking it all down for us in the OCE region, how things went for them with their league play. We got that and more here on Overtime when we come back.
Welcome to Throwdown Studios. We're here in the heart of Sydney to talk about the Oceanic teams as they head to the regional championship that's being held at PAX Australia in less than 2 weeks. Curia.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday. It's 11 a.m. AEDT. But there are 4 teams that have been confirmed. We just finished week 5 of league play. And oh, what a week it was.
It was exciting, especially the last week of league play. I love that we went in with OC being so tight that we didn't know how it was all going to fall. And even the last game decided who would pull one of those top 4 seeds.
Yeah, it wasn't decided until the very end. It was a great moment. But we did, I think, have 4 teams that we really expected to go in coming into that last week.
Yep.
Maybe not, though, teams that we expected coming in at the beginning of the season, because our first team through in the number 4 seed position, Scylla eSports.
Yeah, and they're a team that's always struggled to make that RLCS at the end.
Yeah.
But they're a team that sits comfortably in league play. So I want to see if they can just reach that little bit further, not have their dreams crushed like last season.
Yeah, last OCE championship. They were the team that went Game 7 overtime against what was Alpha Sydney at that point, and then they went to Game 7 against Jam Gaming. So they were so close to RLCS last time. They've changed up their roster a little bit, so they have Adzi, they have Dumbo, and they have Kira, who used to be Snarf. And they've got a really good shot because just this week they took down Chiefs 3-2 in what was a real surprise upset and a big showing, considering they took down Pale Horse as well.
And they're 2 of the teams that also got through. So you have Chiefs and Pale are 2 of the teams that are going through for this LAN final. So if you can beat 2 of those pretty comfortably, you're in a good spot.
They've basically, if they can perform as well on LAN as they have done in league play, then they're going to go through. But, of course, we all know that LAN is a very different beast. That is our number 4 team. Dumbo is going to be leading them from the front, the experienced front runner there, and he's really stepped up in the final week of league play, so I think he's going to step up at LAN as well.
I think Adzi stepped up really well as well. They swapped him out. He's the new player that was added to their roster between the seasons, and we're all a little bit worried on the desk, you know, like such a strong, powerful team swapping out for a new player who doesn't have that league play experience yet. But I think, especially today, we saw a great showcase of what he brings there, and they performed and they made it.
Yeah, they've grown over the season and they have 2 more weeks to grow before they reach PAX. But that does get into the other 3 teams, starting, of course, with Pale Horse, who in the off-season just came out of nowhere. They were not a team that any of us knew about, and only one person, Kami, had ever even played in the OC Championship before.
Yeah, he was from Masterminds, and they came in 8th with the last league play. They weren't a strong team by any measure, but he went from coming in just scraping the league play to top of the ladder, one of the spotlighted players that we had. He's a monster.
He's easily top 3 players in OCE. He could be even contending for the best player in OCE right now.
Yep.
And he's that real solid anchor, as you Americans would like to call it, that really holds the team together. Always performs. He's got the 2nd highest score per game across the entire season. But these guys have played fast. They've come out of nowhere. They've made it into top 3. But they've also had some weaknesses that we saw. In particular, they took a loss to Scylla eSports and Chiefs eSports, and they were both teams that I think they could have beaten.
And they're both teams that they're going to be versing in the upcoming weeks as well. And Scylla and Pale both have very similar play styles. So when push comes to shove, the way they match up is going to be critical in determining who goes forward, because I'd be shocked to see both.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for them. CJ and Kia, all of them really, they haven't had a lot of LAN experience. And that's my big question around them, because outside of that, it's always a toss-up, top 3 between Pale Horse, Chiefs, and Jam. So if it was online, I'd be like, yes, Pale Horse are going to RLCS.
Yep.
But the big question is whether they can perform under the pressure.
I think the matchups will be important as well. Depending how they fall, not in the first round, but second round will be a big decider in who goes forward.
First round, they have their big opponent, which is Chiefs Esports Club, formerly Alpha Sydney last season, so they're returning from the international stage. With Dripe, Torsos, and Jake, they're the only roster that really has stayed the same since last season. And what a first-round matchup. Chiefs beat them in league play.
Yep.
They've looked really strong. And even Torsos, if Kami's in contention, the person that potentially beats Kami right now as the best player in OC is Torsos.
And I love that he's a keyboard player as well. The fact that he's like the only one that we're pushing forward going into the LAN as the best player is the only keyboard player.
I hope that's not a statement about OCE, but I don't think it is. He is a fantastic player. He's really, really pulled two other fantastic players, Drippe and Shake, who have even grown over this season. But the fact that he is shining in front of them is a huge statement about the power and efficiency of Torsos, especially in the forward half where he's got so many goals this season. And I know that Chiefs, they love being LAN. They've been to the most LANs out of any team in OCE, and they're a stark contrast to Pale Horse. They're the longest running trio. They've been to all the LANs. Pale Horse is the opposite. So Chiefs are in a really good spot despite coming in as a second seed.
And Chiefs always performs at LANs. Even if they're struggling online for a period of time, when they finally get to being there in person, they always step up to the plate and do an amazing job. But for Pale, again, we just don't know how they're going to perform when they have 20,000 eyes just all staring straight down the barrel of the gun.
Yeah, their one LAN performance, they did come second, so that's a great sign for Pale Horse. But, of course, this is the big stage.
Yeah.
This is RLCS, and despite the $25,000 US that these players can win, they want to go international, they want to prove themselves, and they're going to have to go up against G2 if they make it as well, which we'll talk about a little bit. And our number one seed, I guess maybe not a surprise this season, knowing how they were coming in really strong. But if we looked at last season with Jam Gaming as our number one seed, well, they weren't even the favorites to make it to RLCS. Now with their international experience and with Shady on the team, they look so good.
Yeah, they had a roster swap out. They removed Bango and added in Shady, and that was a good pickup as well. Shady was on one of those teams that was sitting around the top 4, but his swap over into Jam, it just made a night and day difference for them. They've gone from, they're a team that will probably make top 2 to there's no way that these aren't the top 2, one of the top 2 teams, and maybe even the top. Yeah,
Shady's really, really picked up. He went from a player who was, decent last season, with his last team, Avant Gaming, won more in the last OC Championship. But now he's one of the best player, if not the best player on Jam. And he's really, really helped out that team. They're a team that can really take it internationally. But
before
we've got 4 fantastic teams. There's not anyone right now that I would pick, they're going to come last place at LAN. All of them can do really well. So this is probably the most exciting regional championship I could think of. But who do you have taking out the top 2 spots?
For me, it's really hard. So I'm going to put Chiefs forward as one of them, but I'm not comfortable with the rest of the other 3. I think it'll all fall down to where they go on the day after the first round. So I think Pale Horse will pretty comfortably beat Jam if they get put up against them in the lower bracket, and I think that is a thing that could definitely happen. Pale has a 100% win rate with their core roster against Jam, but similarly, if Scylla goes against Pale, I think Pale's in trouble. There's like a weird triangle of death situation where it really matters who gets knocked down to the lower bracket by who to determine where it's going to go forward. Yeah,
I think if Chiefs get knocked out in the first round, that's their loss scenario, because I think it's also a solid chance for Jam Gaming to beat Scylla. Which means that Scylla are in a good spot to beat Chiefs. That's what they've done in league play, and it's been a bit of a history between those 2 teams. But I have to give it to Chiefs, and I have to give it to Jam as well, because I think just based on experience, they're going to perform slightly better on that live stage.
I think that's a fair thing, because we do have Pale Horse as the only one of the 4 teams that doesn't have that serious LAN experience. We know that Scylla can step up and they can beat Chiefs, which is kind of the big guys to beat, and they can also beat Jam as well, and they have just come off the win against Pale. But I think that's a very fair assessment. I wouldn't be surprised if the international teams that we sent last time, they're coming straight back.
It's a bit of a shame for Scylla, because they're going to have to go up against Jam in the first round.
Rough.
And that's their worst opponents, I think. If they were happy, they'd be happy to be going up against Pale and Chiefs, 2 teams that they can usually outpace. But Jam is going to be a tough run for them. It's going to be a shoot-up. I can't wait for it. Hopefully see you guys all there watching. Again, it is 11 a.m. AED Sunday, the 29th of October, or for you Americans, 5 p.m. on the Saturday, the 28th, right after the NA RLCS promo match.
Into the night, the city lights are dancing, slowly falling apart. The shadows causing an outbreak. I'm wishing upon a star. This time I'm feeling stronger, and I know I can do better. The shadows causing an outbreak. I'm turning the light. We're gonna light it up, oh, light it up, ooh, light it up, causing an outbreak. I'm turning the light. We're gonna light it up, oh, light it up, ooh, light it up, causing an outbreak. I'm turning the lights on.
Well, welcome back to Overtime, folks. It's been a good show. We've done a lot of fun things, and now we're going to do something that's even more fun. We talked about fantasy and pick'ems like 3 weeks ago, and all of us were like, oh dear, please don't talk about it again. But we have to talk about it again. It's important. The league has ended. League play has ended, so we're going to talk about the pick'ems. We're going to talk about the fantasy, and I'm actually okay with talking about it because it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's look at the pick'em standings.
I wonder why.
Do it.
I was so happy.
Let's do it.
so much
Show
fun.
it to me. Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad they didn't give you the satisfaction of being right at the top.
I mean, you got to go alphabetical order. So, like, Gibbs is, of course, actually at the top there.
But do you know who's right at the bottom?
No, Mr. Axeltoss, yeah.
This is validation for us that, yes, we make fun of him, and we are 100% in the right to.
I mean, he wants to have faith in so many teams. He wants to. I have to give him some props on just going with his heart.
Yeah, he just goes with what he believes. He
Yeah.
doesn't care about what he thinks is going to happen. He just goes with what he wants to have happen, and that's how much his reality is just not real.
It's wrong, but it's commendable.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll give my acceptance speech for the award.
Here we go.
Get wrecked, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. This has been a good year. Can't wait to do it again next year. Lawler was the reigning champion. You can bestow the crown upon me.
We talked about it a lot,
there.
actually, about how just go with the logical pick. Go with the safe logical pick and you'll win. I didn't do it once, and
Here's the thing. Last year, I was in the lead the entire season until the last game of league play, and this man who picked differently than me passed me because my team lost and his team won. I don't even remember what game it was.
usually how pick'ems work with.
Yep.
Most teams win and lose, and then the person who picked them
I was in first the last time we checked in on it, and then something went wrong. I don't know. Maybe everyone decided to just do whatever they wanted and lose.
Yeah, I don't know. it's just I don't understand why they don't listen to me because I need them to pick right. But okay, that's pick'ems was one thing.
Yeah,
you saw Gibbs up at the top there, right?
Yeah,
unfortunately. I do not want to look at this next one, but we have to because it's important to. Here's the fantasy standums. He's at the top again, and all the way down at the bottom.
All right, so so here's the thing.
Bring 10K.
I'm not gonna lie. So I confessed this in the very beginning that Gibbs forced me to do this And I'm like, okay, cool. This is really easy. It's a simple task. I can keep up with it. Week 2 comes, I change my roster, and that's the last time I changed my roster because I forgot every single week.
I feel so bad for everybody else who has less than 9,400 points.
If your score is worse than mine, shame on you. Seriously, shame on you. You had to have tried to do worse than me because I literally didn't change anything.
Carpet, next season, you and I will just try to go play golf and get the lowest score.
Oh. That's actually, let's do that next time.
Just try
At least you and me will.
Pick the players that worst. That's so savage, though. Can you imagine
Not
that?
allowed to be subs.
Yeah, no subs, no subs. But
The players-
you can't reveal it. We'll never show anybody what we do because I don't want to insult anybody. But our goal is to get lowest.
A player who's like has a really bad week. He's like, oh dear, I'm gonna end up on Lawler and Carpenter's fantasies. I really don't want to be on their fantasies. Oh.
The amount of thought that just goes into doing it wrong.
I feel like I would actually be more impressed at who wins this.
That's
tough.
Because knowing who's good is great because we talk about them all the time. Knowing who's bad is infinitely more
way to give love
impressive.
to the
So
least-
It's
go
pretty
for
crazy.
it. I
Yeah.
encourage
Here's the thing, though. Like Gibbs, not only did he win our pick'ems and our fantasy, he won the entirety.
He will
of
never
fantasy.
win my fantasy.
He was the #1 fantasy in the world.
Was
He's
he
not
really?
here.
I hope you
Number
never
one in the
have
world.
fantasy.
He's not here.
No.
He's not here right now. But we had him record an acceptance speech. So Gibbs, the floor is yours.
Carry the Maestro, replace the Sad Junior, VIP all day. Oh, I didn't see you there. Sorry, I was just working on fantasy for next season because that's how much work it takes to become #1. Something James Bott wouldn't know. Double Tap always lost to Cosmic Aftershock. Simple as that. But I just want to thank everyone for letting me win fantasy because I know it's all about skill. There's no luck involved at all, obviously. To be serious, I want to thank Violent Panda. He's on my team all year. Sad Junior, Gimmick, and the Pale Horse Boys picked up all 3 in the final week to get the win from the OCE week. Good job on the 3-0. Hopefully we'll see you at LAN, but we'll see. But I also want to actually thank Rocket-League.com for an awesome fantasy time. Can't wait to do it again next year. And yeah, maybe the casters will actually be good at it next year. Maybe they'll be good at Pick'em. Who knows? Wavepunk's pretty good at Pick'em, but everyone else, even though they were 1 game back, it felt like 20. But thank you again, Wavepunk, and back to you.
Like if we do that, if you move here, then that's how we'll sabotage Gibbs. Oh hi, we didn't see you there. Good to see you back here. Fun stuff from Gibbs. Good to see him.
What part of that was fun?
I thought it was funny. He said I was going to pick him, so I liked it.
I mean, to be honest, there's one person I don't mind winning. I got to give it to him.
Do you know who I wouldn't mind
so
winning?
Fun.
3, 2, 1. James
Me.
Bott. Oh, yeah, you.
This is just both of them. Just go with it, folks. But that's fantasy for us. That's pick'ems and stuff. Over on the community side of things, we like to spotlight community stuff and things that are happening over there. There's the Collegiate Rocket League tournament that is happening right now that they're going through over at Rocket League eSports. Twitch.tv/Rocket League eSports, the CRL Collegiate Rocket League. October 23rd and 24th at 5 p.m. Pacific, so next time you can tune into that. And what are these big old banners? Let's talk about it for a second here, about how this works. It's split into 4 conferences. College play generally is in conferences when it comes to like athletic sports, so they're mirroring that here to some degree, and they've got, the conferences are pretty full here, so we can kind of go through the different conferences that they are here and just talk about some of the teams in here. I'm a huge college fan. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that about everything about me, but I love college football in particular.
Every show day.
TCU doesn't have a team.
I get more updates about his college team.
Number 4 right now, baby. Let's go. I'm excited about that one.
I'm pretty sure I know more about your college team than I know like when I need to go to the bathroom. Like I just every 5 minutes, like, hey, guess what? I'm like, what? What's the score?
Carpet knows more about the TCU Horned Frogs than he does about the Florida Gators. We'll just put it that way.
Everybody
right
does.
We can talk. North Conference is the first conference I want to talk about here. I'm just going to talk to a few of the teams. Check out this. This is cool, right? Yeah. Look at that. That's the logo for the conference. Conferences usually don't have mascots, but they picked mascots here. So this is the Minotaur Conference, I guess. They have Indiana University, Iowa State University, one of the Big 12 bros. So I'm rooting for Iowa State in that situation. They have UC Boulder, Wisconsin, Stevens Point.
Yes, Badgers did make it from Madison, but at least we got someone from Wisconsin representing.
Yep, they are there. You can talk about the South Conference. These are my boys all right here. You got Texas A&M, LSU, UNT, University of North Texas, University of Texas, Georgia Tech. The Swarm's going to be there. So Auburn's in this. This is a stacked conference as far as football teams go. I don't know how good any of these teams are. Apparently Texas A&M and LSU are pretty good. I didn't get to watch their qualifiers.
I like how thematic the logos are and the font.
Yeah.
That font is very dry desert font.
It's
which
awesome, man.
sounds like the South.
Yeah, we can
Especially
talk about,
Texas.
Talk about the East Conference too. They've got University of Maryland, who has like the best uniforms ever of all things. They're pretty great. They have Penn State also, very big fan base there from Penn State. Few others here: Rochester, Northeastern.
You know what they don't have? They don't have the Gators.
They don't have the Gators.
This is my call out. So the University of Florida is my alma mater. This is my call out to everyone that goes there right now. Seriously, if I don't see you there next time they do this, I'll be pissed. I'll be actually mad. All right, I want to be able to rep the Gators because this guy never shuts up about his team, and I want to not shut up about my team. So please.
Here's the thing that I love about college esports is that like you have all these rivalries built into like athletic sports for college and stuff like that. And the minute it translates over, it's like, oh, my dad went to Texas A&M. University of Texas is in here. Texas A&M's in here too. I know who I'm rooting for, and it's not University of Texas. Go Aggies! Like this, it's just awesome. It's right there. I've never seen these teams play before, but I'm already excited.
If I see FSU, I swear to God. If I see FSU make it before UF.
Yep. We talk about the Western region too. Just lastly here, California Polytech. You've got University of Utah, University of Arizona, Arizona State University, the Sun Devils. So got a lot of big teams, a lot of big schools, anyways, represented here in this league. I can't wait to watch it all. It's going to be just great.
The Western Cthulhu's.
The Western Cthulhu's, that's right. The octopuses. But guys, World Championships is coming up. We're go and get your tickets. Go and buy them so we can see you at the National Harbor MGM in Washington, D.C. That's coming up in November. It's going to be great. It's been a great episode of Overtime. I think there's some caster bloopers at the end. They're lots of fun. I think. Have fun watching it. We'll see you all next week.